is classified M. It contains some violence. Channel 7 recommends viewing by mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, bastards and tramps, bloodsuckers, road trash and vamps. To the queers and the strange, in the crowd and on stage. To the violent, the malevolent, and those seeking the grave. Welcome home!
Welcome to What's Up, Punk. We're taking a look at the myriad subgenres underneath the umbrella of punk. Today, we'll be taking a look at Splatterpunk. Ponchos at the ready. You're in the Splash Zone.
Poncho!
What is Splatterpunk? What if Rob Zombie and early Dario Argento had a baby? I'm gonna assume Sherry Moon Zombie was in there somewhere. That kid's godfather was Clive Barker. The resulting child would be Splatterpunk. The etymology of the name Splatterpunk is interesting because it comes from a visual source and not a literary source, aka the prevalence of slasher movies in the 80s and 90s. Now, like everyone else who spent more than 10 seconds in the horror community, I know that Giallo films and Grindhouse Cinema were doing more explicit content earlier on, but it was the boom and recoil of the slasher is where the name derives from. Now again, this is interesting because it's from a visual source and not a literary source. This, like a lot of other punks we're going to cover, is more found in the written word than the visuals. Not saying there ain't spillover, but if you're looking for that good stuff, you're looking for it in a book, not in the visuals. Paul M. Salmon, a Splatterpunk writer and editor, said, like surrealism before it, Splatterpunk has a specific revolt against an artistic establishment. In our case, the traditional meek, subjective horror stories, or at least how it was in the 90s, distinguished by its graphic, often gory depiction of violence with countercultural alignment. Accordingly, Splatterpunk is full of fictions unconcerned with the spoopies. Most of the stories are often about cruel humans and the violence they commit. The most important aspect of Splatterpunk is its willingness to change. The essential elements of the Splatterpunk formula is that there is no formula. Making my job as the jackass that regurgitates this information back to you a little bit harder. However, there's also a freedom to this. Usually, when I'm going over these various forms of punk, I take my punk knowledge and sift it through what I've seen and dig out what I think is specifically ... punk. I didn't have to in this case. It's all valid.
There are no rules.
This freedom allows splatterpunk artists, writers, etc. to use just about anything their minds can come up with, from sci-fi to fantasy to grounded realism. Yeah, we're skipping this one again. Like I said before, with the freedom that Splatterpunk offers, you can pull from pretty much anything. From techno futures to contemporary aesthetics. One reason Splatterpunk exists is that it's horror fiction's natural response to what's going on around them, and the edgy pop culture in the 80s and 90s. Not only gore-exploitation films, but the hyped-up world of rock music videos, and what at the time was the new raunchiness of the emerging graphic novel scene. However, given the pants-on-head crazy that is Splatterpunk, the aesthetics of Splatterpunk is less what you see, but more philosophical. What's love got to do with it? Answer: everything. The most balls-out, highly improbable gore-exploitation to the sanitized version of horror has had one overarching cancer. The characters are treated like blood bags of guts to be stabbing fodder, not actual characters. Splatter, or well-made splatter, at least focuses on characters you don't want to see gutted like pigs. It's always far scarier when the characters could be your friends, or you can put yourself in their own shoes. Not saying they're good people, just saying they're not boring or annoying. All monsters must be confronted. Most importantly, society's monsters. The monsters we create for ourselves. And yeah, that guy too. This place was always fucked up. The traditional horror convention is thus: a normal life is obstructed by a monster, man or actual monster, doesn't matter. Protagonist rises to the occasion, and peace is restored. A Splatterpunk story would show that hometown, family, work, school, etc., the peace there was always a lie. It was always fucked up. Splatterpunk has a point to the horror we wade through, even if the point isn't always a happy one. I'm laughing so I don't puke on my shoes. Yeah, the genre that has detached limbs trying desperately to reattach themselves to a host body. Any host body. Men that are described not just as fat, but as sea of fat people. And, oh, this is a real story, a mutilated dick that was trying to sexually assault somebody. Splatterpunk is strong with the dark humor. Or I'm completely wrong. Like I said before, freedom, no rules. I could be totally off the mark here. This is just what I found through my punk research. The writer commonly credited with coming up with the term splatterpunk and a mainstay of the splatterpunk scene, novelist David J. Shaw, put it this way: it's not enough to see the shadow behind the door. People want to see what's making the shadow, what it looks like, how it comes apart. In splatterpunk, ghosts have given way to serial killers. Boo has been replaced with yuck. Things just don't go bump in the night. They emit a retching, agonizing howl. I'll admit a level of ignorance at the novel scene back in the day. Or now. But if novels were having the same crappy horror restrictions that later 80s and 90s films had, I can see it. The song remains the same, just like cyberpunk before it. People in science fiction thought things were getting too sanitized. A couple punks came along and changed all that. Japanese splatterpunk. Generally, I don't break punk down by cultural lines. One, well, because I don't have to, and two, because I just do way too much research. I bring it up in this case because, one, Japanese splatterpunk is the only place you're going to see, well, visually, the balls out insanity that is splatterpunk in the novel form. And secondly, said before, I generally don't have to. Whatever starts splatterpunk apparently just made its way around the world. But when it comes to Japanese splatterpunk, or what's better known as the new wave of Japanese horror, there doesn't seem to be any kind of overlap. It came out of mostly just because Japanese horror cinema was seeing a lot of returns with more comical horror movies. And still to this day, I mean, seriously, how many Lust of the Dead videos were there? Now, I know some people could cite Story of Ricky, being the epicenter of that, but that wasn't horror. That was... I don't know what that was. Difference is, everybody's got pre-shaken can of blood soda in their bodies. I'm not saying this doesn't come up in Western splatterpunk, but it's everyone, everywhere on the body. Logic, we ain't got that. Someone that's not a fan of J-horror, yo, I recommend just turning off your brain and watching the madness. Similarities, they do have actual characters and not just, meat waiting to be stabbed. And the no rules rule is firmly in place. This house was indeed always fucked up. Just like I said before, splatterpunk usually shows that the veneer of reality is way more fucked up than you think it is. Especially in Tokyo Gore Police, I did not see that coming. Real life splatterpunks. Ed Gee? What the fuck? Future of splatterpunk. The future of splatterpunk is... there isn't one. It's unnecessary. Splatterpunk won. Hell, horror is denigrated now if it doesn't show enough shock value, and their characters are a waste of space. With internet filmmaking, making their own content without meddling, the video on demand market, and good old internet self-publishing, the old chains, if not gone, are drastically lessened. Am I saying we live in a golden age of horror? Hell no. Horror is always going to be subjective as fuck, and censors like the MPAA and ASRB should be mothballed. The pendulum may swing the other way back to sanitizicity, but it's the battle of inches, not miles. And one can very easily get one's fix. Hell, John Skip, another well-known splatterpunk author, said in an interview that most detective stories are more bloodier than anything he grew up with. Again, splatterpunk won. My recommendations. The Descent. Honestly, all you had to show me was this, and this. And you could have sold me on this movie, because these in their own way are all beautiful. A story of a group of women spelunking a cave. Down in the darkness, some find truth, who they really are, and what lengths they'll go to survive. The lighting is gorgeous, and the monsters are vicious, if not a bit boring. Really, guys? Bat people? In a cave? Really stretched the brain cells on that one, didn't we? Hellraiser. Watch this movie. No clips or witty synopsis. Stop this video. Just go to Vudu, go to Amazon, watch this movie. We'll wait for you. If you've already seen it again. It's a Chaos Theater gold standard movie, and this punk's quintessential splatterpunk movie. Classic of the horror genre, and I won't spoil a second of it. Enjoy the Black Miracle. Blood Drive. Blood Drive is Blood Drive. It's sleazy, dirty, sexy, and fantastic. What fuels these drivers on their cross-country race is the blood of their victims. Literally, they use human blood as their fuel. It's the end of the world through the eyes of the best grindhouse movie ever. We got cannibals, we got chuds, we got road warriors, we got cyborgs, we got psychos, we got Amazons. It's got all the trimmings. Except for horror. That's why I'm kind of cheating with this one and the next one. Terrifier. Art the murderous fucking clown goes on a trick-or-treat from hell in a closed building. It's short, brutal, and disturbing. No joke, this is some of the best schoolwork I've seen since Tom Savini. Now, why am I cheating? Well, the characters outside of Art, the once again murderous fucking clown. It's basically what every critic who hates horror movies thinks are the main characters. Are in fact our main characters. How do I feel about Splatterpunk? Horror is like candy. There's all sorts of different flavors to fit different people. Seductive horror.
We have a bargain.
But I'm afraid.
Do you fear the pain? Or what is beyond?
Both.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Classic horror. Ghost stories. Existential horror.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
The good old reliability of the zombie. The classicness, simplicity of a slasher. The social commentary of a Romero film. The Thing, Void, VHS, Hellraiser 1 and 2, Friday the 13th 1 through 4, Day of the Dead are all some of my favorite movies. I have Dario Argento-esque lighting in my apartment. I've seen most of Fulci's work. I'll fully admit that RE4 had a big influence on the man I am today. But this punk is just not for me. I don't need a good ending, but I do need an ending. And that's where Splatterpunk kind of falls short with me. It seems like all the creativity went to the gore and the characters. When the movie's just over, or the book, or what have you, we're just at an end point because that's all there was. The gore is usually very good. Characters usually are real people, not angels, but not people who wonder how they went this long without an ass whooping. Endings, just not so much. Of course, there are exceptions. I've spotlighted a few. But sorry, this one just isn't me. Sign out question. What's your favorite horror? Anything. Movie, book, game, don't matter. I want to hear what you watch even when it's not Halloween. For me, it's all about John Carpenter's The Thing. It has everything. The gore, the characters, and the atmospheric dread. Well, this has been What's Up, Punks. Till next time, join a band of Sky Pirates, cut through and cut clean, we gotta touch these cybernetics somehow, and practice no chemical composting. But keep on being a no good, dirty punk.
You know it, you love it, here's the spiel, let's do it. Hit subscribe to be my subscriber. Hit the bell so you know when I've actually posted stuff. Still no idea why those two things are separate now, but whatever. And of course, hit like to appease the algorithm gods. All fear and praise. On a list of whatever YouTubes, I am also probably not going to get any ad revenue for these videos, so if you would be so kind, check out that Patreon and the GoFundMe. Links in the description.